Welcome everyone. Today I'm starting a brand new series called the comment section where I am, you guessed it, addressing your questions from the comment section. You guys have so many really good questions that I just thought, hey, I could just make videos and answer them and make a lot of really good content. Hopefully answer questions for a lot of other people who aren't leaving comments as well. So today my first question I'm getting to comes in from Cayman Devons. Sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly. And he asks, if a singer sounds muffled, then what do you do to fix that? Now, I could have given a super quick comment, lazy answer and just said, oh, just add a little bit of EQ, take some of this out, add some of that, you're done. But it's really a much deeper question than that. And it really does warrant an entire video dedicated to just that question. So happy to start with that one today. Okay, also this comment came in on an X32 tutorial video, so I'm assuming that it is about a live situation. However, everything I'm teaching you today could be used either live or in the studio. Okay, so the first thing that I always teach my students is if something sounds bad, go to the source first, right? Don't try and doctor it up. Don't try and put lipstick on that pig. You plug something in, be it a microphone or an instrument, and you bring it up on the console and you don't like how it sounds, don't just start throwing a bunch of effects on there. Go to the source first, fix the source. Okay, so this could be so many different things. Are you using the correct microphone? Is the musician using the microphone correctly? Etc., etc. Let's start at the beginning, okay? Are you using the correct microphone? So in a live setting, you're probably using something like this. This is a Shure SM58. It's the most commonly used live vocal mic of all time. If you're not using this one, you're probably using something that at least resembles this. And this is a dynamic cardioid microphone, right? If you're in a studio, you're probably using a condenser or something like that, but still, same principles apply. Okay, so a cardioid microphone is made to pick up audio only from the front. It's actually made to reject audio that comes at it from the side or from the back, and that prevents other instruments or stage volume from getting into it. Also prevents feedback coming from your PA. So one of the most common problems that I see is people holding the microphone like this. I call it the Bob Barker mic technique, right? From The Price is Right, where he always held that thing right here, and people saw that and they're like, oh, that must be how you hold a microphone. It's not, okay? If you're holding it like this, it's trying to get sound from up here. It's not gonna sound good, okay? So make sure your vocalists are holding the mic correctly. They wanna have it right in front of their mouth with the front pointed at their mouth. Now, one thing I like to tell my vocalists, and this depends on, from vocalist to vocalist, but a good starting point is have them bring it as close to their mouth as possible without touching it. That way it helps keep a lot of the bleed from the rest of the stage out, especially with things like cymbals. Now, if you start to get problems with plosives at that point, plosives being your P's and other sounds that create air that get into the mic and make the kind of boom sounds, you can address that with a low cut, which we'll talk about later, or you can just bring the microphone down slightly so that the air goes over the mic. And again, in this case, the microphone is still pointed directly at my mouth. It should never be like this, right? Point it at the mouth and the air will go directly over if you're having problems with plosives. Also, your vocalist may have a certain timbre to their voice that sounds better with different microphones. So if you have access to different mics, maybe the 58's not right. Maybe you want a beta, or maybe you want a Sennheiser or whatever. If you have other mics available to you and they're holding the mics correctly, then try other mics. Maybe different mics sound good on different vocalists. Also, if there is a pop screen or a windscreen, take that thing off. Unless you're outside in the wind, you really don't need that. All that's doing is cutting off high end, cutting off discernment and detail from that vocal. All right, so now you've got the right microphone for the vocalist. The vocalist is holding the microphone correctly. and it still sounds a little muffled. Well, that's when you go to the EQ. I'll show you how. All right, so I've got this session pulled up. It's a song I recorded with an artist named MJ Ross. I'll leave links in the description. Recommend you check him out. He's very talented. I've gone ahead and soloed up this vocal and added some muffle because when I tracked his vocal initially, it was not very muffly. So for the sake of this tutorial, I needed some muffle. I pre-muffled his vocals so we can listen to it. All right, let's go ahead and listen to what it sounds like. By the way, if you're interested in training with me, either one-on-one or in a group, remote or in person, be sure to click on the link to my website in the description below and reach out to me there. I'd love to hear from you.
You were dyed in the wool, the fabric of creation, the most honorable. We raise a proclamation.
All right, so that's pretty muffly, right? It doesn't have a lot of definition. It's got a bunch of the, hand in front of the mouth kind of sound. So what can we do about that? All right, first thing that you should always do, studio or live, put a low cut on there or a high pass. They are the same thing. Often I call it a low cut. So that just cuts everything out below the frequency that you choose. So it's going to depend vocalist to vocalist and what their range is, and whether they're male or female. For a male vocalist, 100 hertz is a good starting point. If you have a bass vocalist, then you're going to want to go a little bit lower than that. If you have like a soprano or alto, then you're going to maybe want to go a little bit higher than that. But for the sake of this, we're going to go ahead and go just about up to 100 hertz. That way we're cutting out all this stuff below it, all the like stand and mic noise from it rumbling around. We don't need that. That's going to automatically clear up a lot of stuff. Okay, so now that I've got the low cut set, I'm going to play it again, and then I'm going to find the frequency that I don't like, and I'm going to pull it out. Let's go ahead and do that.
You were dyed in the wool, the fabric of creation, the most honorable. We raise a proclamation that we all fall short, but your word will not be shaken. So we attach our hearts to you, Lord, for you are gracious. You were dyed in the wool, the fabric of creation.
All right, so that's already a lot better. And what I did is first, again, for me, since I've been doing this a while, I could probably narrow in on the frequencies that I want to pull out pretty quickly. But if you're not super familiar, it's called sweeping, right? You'll take your EQ, and instead of immediately cutting, you'll boost. And then you move it around until you find, oh, that's that sound, that muffled sound. It's really emphasized. That's what I want to pull out. And then you actually drop it down. So I think it was pretty close to about 350, if I remember correctly. And then also what I did is I changed the size of my Q, right? So your Q is how narrow or wide this slope is. It controls how many frequencies your EQ is affecting, right? So if you do a really narrow Q, it'll only affect a few frequencies, right? So it'll look like that. Okay, you'll do that if you're getting feedback in a certain frequency or maybe pain in one specific frequency. You'll bring that Q very narrow and then pull it down. But for larger taste changes like this, we want the Q to be a bit wider. You can go anywhere from like a medium to a larger Q. So I kind of liked the sound of this. Let's go ahead and take a listen to it again. I'm going to turn the EQ on and off just so you can hear the difference.
You were dyed in the wool, the fabric of creation, the most honorable. We raise a proclamation.
Yeah, way better already. But it's still lacking. And so what I like to do is I actually like to give it a little bit of shimmer, or what's called air. right? So this, what we're pulling down here, this is going to be in the low mids. That's where a lot of the muffly sound is going to be. Up here around like 1 kilohertz, that's where you get into the high mids and a lot of the nasally sound. So around 3 kilohertz, that's where a lot of the discernment comes in. And then you get to 4 to 7 kilohertz, that's where the S's are, and it depends on, person to person. But then once you get to about 10 kilohertz and up, that's what's called air, right? So that's just really high frequencies that just help your vocal to get closer to you, right? Because when someone's really close to you, you're getting a lot of high end. If they're way off in the distance, you don't hear that high end. So when you boost that air band or the 10K and up, it just makes it sound more present. It makes it sound closer to you. So let's try that really quick and hear how that sounds.
You were dyed in the wool, the fabric of creation, the most honorable. We raise a proclamation that we all fall short, but your word will not be shaken. So we attach our hearts to you, Lord, for you are gracious.
Yeah, it just adds a whole lot more detail and definition to his voice. And you can tell also, because of how I have the slope set, when I'm raising the frequency up here, it's affecting all the way down to like, I don't know, 2 kilohertz, which I could change the slope if I wanted to, but for the sake of this demonstration, it's fine. So that's pretty much where I'm going to start if I have a muffled vocal. And again, it's going to depend person to person, situation to situation, but this is a very good basic EQ to have on that vocal mic if you're having trouble discerning it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to keep leaving your questions in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get to as many as I can. We'll see you next time. Focus on my face holes.